Hello, Internet. Tonight, the Paul Powers Show proudly presents the top 10 most disturbing anime series, as selected by me, Paul Powers, of the Paul Powers Show. Please subscribe to my channel. Now, before we start, let me just say that some of this stuff is pretty graphic, and that this video is not for children, nor the faint of heart. With that said, let's get started with number 10, Gantz. Okay, what can I say about Gantz? This series features mindless violence, rather awkward amount of nudity and sexual themes, and just a really bizarre story. Okay, so Gantz takes place in modern-day Japan, but with the twist that all of the main characters are recently dead. Somehow they find themselves trapped in a strange room with a big black orb that tells them if they want the chance to be brought back to life for real, they have to hunt down alien monsters with crazy sci-fi weaponry. It actually just gets weirder from there. The only reason it's not higher on the list is that the disturbing elements are pretty much all this show really has going for it. Kei is probably the most unlikable main character in the history of animation. Like, seriously, this guy is a complete shithole. The rest of the cast is just dull and uninteresting, so it's kind of hard to get invested. If you're just looking for a series with over-the-top violence, boobs, and general weirdness, then by all means, check this one out. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more substance, you might want to look a little higher on this list. For example, number 9, Pet Shop of Horrors. In Chinatown, there's a tiny little pet store run by a sinister and rather effeminate man that calls himself Count D. You heard me right. This is a dude. Now, the Count sells some rather unusual pets, and there's always some kind of conditions, a contract that the customer has to abide by when they purchase one. And when that contract is broken, well, let's just say that things usually end poorly. This series has a feel rather similar to like The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone, in that it's usually people's own poor decisions that lead to their, horrific doom. It's also totally episodic, but unfortunately, it's pretty short. Like Peter Dinklage short. There's only 4 episodes. And that's a shame, because they do a really good job with those 4 episodes. Still, if you want a little mini bite-sized disturbing watch, be sure to check this one out. Number 8, Serial Experiments Lain.
Present day. Present time.
Okay, it's hard to say much about the plot of this series without spoiling things, so I'll leave it at this. Lain is about a girl who becomes progressively more and more obsessed with computers and technology after she gets an email from one of her schoolmates several days after said schoolmate committed suicide. Now, unlike most of the other entries on this list, Lain is kind of a slow burner. It's definitely disturbing, but in a much subtler way. This series will leave you feeling uncomfortable with its creepy atmosphere and its use of symbolism. And that's the thing, this is a very psychological series. Don't expect it to explain itself to you. Seriously, if you don't want to have to spend time thinking afterwards about what you just watched, Lain probably isn't the series for you. Number 7, Boogie Pop Phantom. A strange pillar of light in the sky, the disappearance of several high school students, and a rather androgynous Shinigami that calls itself Boogie Pop. These are just a few of the elements that make up the complete mindfuck that is Boogie Pop Phantom. Now, pretty much everything I said about Serial Experiments Lain applies here too, but Boogie Pop is a lot more overtly disturbing, bringing in a lot of distinctly horror themes. This series is actually a spin-off of a series of light novels, and although you don't have to read them to enjoy the series, it definitely helps if you want to make much sense of it. Or at least, skim the Wikipedia or TV Tropes articles on them. Number 6, Corpse Party, Tortured Souls. Believe it or not, this OVA is actually based on a series of 16-bit video games made in RPG Maker. No joke. Still, Corpse Party is so jacked up. Don't be surprised if by the end of the night, you end up laying in your bathtub alone, sobbing softly while eating cookie dough ice cream straight out of the carton. It involves a bunch of elementary school kids who get transported into like this bizarre otherworld version of their school. Think of it as kind of like Silent Hill, except the monsters all look like kids and teachers, and everyone is just trying to murder the shit out of each other in the most spectacularly gory fashion possible. What makes Corpse Party more disturbing than your standard gore fest, though, is the fact that these are just little kids, man. I mean, damn. Okay, we are now halfway through the list, so let's go ahead and take a little intermission. Go ahead and pause the video, go take a bathroom break or get some chips or something, and then when you come back, unpause it and click on that little link right there, and it'll take you to part 2.